When you live your life always trying to be friendly to everyone, you may think you're earning people's love and admiration. You may think that your constant smile, your endless patience, and your willingness to always say yes will win you favor. But in reality, the more you give yourself away without boundaries, the more people begin to lose respect for you. Respect is never built on over-friendliness. It is built on strength, conviction, and the courage to say no when necessary. A man or woman who constantly bends over backwards for others is not seen as noble, but as weak. And weakness never commands respect. Look around your life. Think about the times you have tried to please everyone. Think about the moments you sacrificed your own needs just to keep others comfortable. Did they truly appreciate it, or did they start expecting it from you as if it was your duty? You see, when you are too friendly, you are not teaching people to love you. You are teaching them to use you. You are showing them that your time is not valuable, your words carry no weight, and your presence can be taken for granted. And when people take you for granted, respect begins to die. There is a law in human nature: what is too easily available loses its value. Imagine gold scattered on the streets for everyone to pick up. Would it still be precious? Of course not. The same is true for your kindness, your time, your energy. If you hand it out without measure, without wisdom, it will no longer be seen as rare or valuable. People respect what is rare. They respect what is protected. They respect the man or woman who knows their worth and refuses to let anyone treat them cheaply. Being too friendly often comes from fear. Fear of rejection, fear of being disliked, fear of being alone. So you try to win people's hearts by lowering your guard and making yourself small. You believe that if you are nice enough, polite enough, agreeable enough, they will love you. But the truth is, the opposite happens. The more you try to win people's love with friendliness, the more they lose interest in you. The harder you try to be accepted, the quicker they dismiss you. People are drawn not to those who beg for attention, but to those who command it naturally through confidence, strength, and boundaries. You can be kind without being weak. You can be respectful without being submissive. There is a difference between showing love and throwing away your dignity. Some of you have been taught since childhood that being friendly all the time is the key to being a good person. But let me tell you, goodness is not the same as weakness. A person who always says yes is not a good person. They are a doormat. A truly good person knows when to help and when to walk away. They know when to forgive and when to stand their ground. They know when to speak gently and when to speak firmly. That is the balance of true strength. And let us be honest. When you are too friendly, you invite disrespect into your life. People stop listening to your words. They interrupt you. They overlook your feelings. They may smile at you, but deep down they do not take you seriously. You see, over-friendliness robs you of authority. If you want to be respected in your workplace, in your family, in your relationships, you cannot afford to be endlessly friendly. Respect is earned when people know you will not tolerate nonsense. Respect is earned when people know your time is valuable. Respect is earned when people know your silence means more than their noise. So what should you do? Stop giving yourself away so cheaply. Start valuing your own presence. When you speak, let your words carry weight. When you give your time, give it to those who deserve it. When you show kindness, show it with intention, not as a desperate attempt for acceptance. Learn to say no, not with anger, but with firmness. Learn to set limits without guilt. Learn to love yourself enough to protect your respect. Because here is the truth. If you don't respect yourself, no one else will. If you don't set boundaries, people will cross them again and again. If you don't stop being too friendly, you will spend your life as a servant to everyone else's desires, never living your own. But if you stand firm, if you carry yourself with strength, if you show kindness without selling your dignity, people will not only notice you, they will respect you. When you live your life trying to be too friendly with everyone, you might think you are spreading goodness, building bridges, and winning hearts. But the truth is, over-friendliness is like leaving the doors of your home wide open. Anyone can walk in, and not everyone who walks in has good intentions. The sad reality is this: when you are too available, too nice, too willing to please, you don't attract gratitude, you attract manipulation. The opportunists of this world know how to spot an overly friendly soul. They see someone who is always smiling, always saying yes, always ready to give, and they think to themselves, here is someone I can use. Have you noticed that the more you give without question, the more some people expect? The first time you lend a hand, they thank you. The second time, they nod. The third time, they demand. What used to be kindness becomes an obligation, and what was once generosity becomes an expectation. And when you try to pull back, when you finally say no, they look at you as though you have betrayed them. That is what happens when friendliness turns into weakness. People stop seeing your kindness as a gift and start treating it as their right. This is why you must understand that not everyone you meet has a pure heart. Some people only draw close to you because of what they can take from you. They wear masks of friendship, but their true intention is to drain your energy, your resources, your time, and your peace. And the more you try to win them with over-friendliness, the deeper their claws sink into your life. Before you know it, you are carrying burdens that are not yours, fighting battles that were never yours, and sacrificing your own growth just to keep parasites attached to you. And here is something you must realize: manipulators are not always loud. They don't always come with demands. Some of them flatter you. They praise you. They make you feel special just so you will give more of yourself to them. They smile when you are useful, but vanish when you need them. They take your kindness, your forgiveness, your endless friendliness, and they use it as a weapon against you. And the truth is, they would never succeed if you had learned how to set limits. It is not always their fault for using you. It is also your responsibility for allowing them. There is a wisdom in saying no. There is strength in setting boundaries. A person who respects themselves enough to say, I will not be used, I will not be manipulated, I will not let anyone drain my spirit, is a person who commands respect. You see, people will only use you as much as you allow them to. They will only manipulate you as long as you keep opening the door. But the moment you close it, the moment you show them that your kindness is not weakness, they have no choice but to back away. Some of you may fear that if you stop being too friendly, you will lose people. And you are right, you will. But you will only lose the ones who were never truly your friends to begin with. You will only lose the ones who were attached to your generosity, not your soul. And isn't that a blessing? Better to stand with a few who love you for who you are than to be surrounded by many who only want what you can give. You were not created to be used. You were not created to be drained. You were not created to live your life as a servant to manipulative people who take and take until nothing is left of you. You were created with worth. You were created with dignity. And every time you let someone manipulate you through your friendliness, you are betraying that worth. So I say to you, stop confusing love with over-friendliness. Stop thinking that goodness means letting others use you. Real love has strength. Real goodness has wisdom. Real kindness has boundaries. Protect yourself, because if you don't, manipulators will never stop taking. They don't stop when you are tired. They don't stop when you are broken. They only stop when you finally stand and say, no more. There comes a time in life when you must recognize that not everyone is worthy of your time, your heart, or your energy. Too often, we scatter our kindness like seeds on concrete, expecting it to grow where it never can. We pour ourselves into people who don't care, who don't listen, who don't value what we bring. And then we wonder why we feel drained, why we feel invisible, why our lives feel empty. The truth is simple: not everyone deserves your energy. Your energy is the most precious thing you carry. It fuels your thoughts, your dreams, your actions. It is the strength that gets you out of bed in the morning, the fire that keeps you moving when life is hard. Yet, when you allow everyone and anyone to pull from it, you end up exhausted, unable to fight your own battles, because you have wasted yourself fighting for those who never even cared about you. You become tired not because life is too heavy, but because you are carrying weight that was never yours to carry. Some of you have people in your lives who only come around when they need something. When they are broken, they call you. When they are empty, they lean on you. But when you are hurting, where are they? When you are in need, do they come running? Or do they vanish into silence, waiting for the day when you are strong again so they can use you all over? These are not people who deserve your energy. These are people who drain you of it. Others waste their energy on people who don't even notice. They spend hours trying to impress someone who will never appreciate them. They invest their heart in people who only laugh at their efforts. They chase friendships, relationships, and approval that will never be given. That is like pouring water into a broken jar. It will never be full, no matter how much you pour. And the more you try, the more you lose yourself. Life is too short to keep giving yourself to people who are blind to your worth. It is too short to keep explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. It is too short to keep trying to fix people who don't want to be fixed. If someone doesn't see your value, it is not your job to convince them. If someone doesn't want your love, your care, your kindness, stop forcing it. You are not meant to chase after those who reject you. You are meant to stand strong and give your energy to those who deserve it. And you must understand this. Your energy shapes your future. If you waste it on unworthy people, you rob yourself of the strength needed for your calling, your goals, your true purpose. Every minute you spend on someone who doesn't care is a minute stolen from your own growth. Every hour you waste trying to keep the wrong people happy is an hour stolen from the life you were meant to build. The enemy of greatness is not always failure. It is often distraction. And nothing distracts more than giving your energy to those who never deserved it. But when you learn to guard your energy, when you learn to choose wisely who receives your time, you begin to rise. You begin to feel lighter, stronger, freer. Suddenly, you are not drained, you are alive. You are not being used, you are being valued. You are not surrounded by noise, you are surrounded by peace. Because the truth is, when you stop giving yourself to everyone, you create space for the right people to step in. The ones who will lift you up instead of pulling you down. The ones who will pour back into you instead of only taking. The ones who will see your worth without you having to prove it. Do not confuse selfishness with self-respect. Protecting your energy is not about being cold or heartless. It is about being wise. You cannot help everyone. You cannot fix everyone. And you are not called to carry everyone's burdens. But you are called to protect the gift of life God gave you. And that means being careful where you invest your soul. Some people believe that being kind automatically means being weak, but that is a lie you must never accept. True kindness does not strip you of strength, it reveals it. Being respectful does not mean lowering yourself before others, it means carrying yourself with dignity. The danger comes when friendliness is mistaken for fear, when people confuse your patience for passivity, when they assume your soft voice means you have no power. That is when you must draw a line. Because kindness is not weakness and friendliness is not submission. The world will test you. It will push against you to see how far you bend. And if you bend too easily, people will keep pushing until you break. Some will even test your limits just to see if you have any. If you always smile when you should speak, if you always say yes when you should say no, if you always keep the peace when truth needs to be spoken, people will not see you as kind. They will see you as weak. And weakness invites exploitation. But when you learn the balance, when you show that you can be warm without being walked over, gentle without being silenced, respectful without being manipulated, then you begin to command respect. People do not admire weakness, they admire restraint. They admire the person who can be strong enough to fight, but wise enough to choose peace. They admire the one who can forgive without becoming a fool, who can listen without losing their voice, who can love without losing themselves. Think about the strongest people you have ever met. They are not the ones who shout the loudest, nor are they the ones who always say yes to everything. They are the ones who carry a quiet authority, the ones who do not need to prove themselves to anyone, the ones who can show love without being enslaved by it. That is true strength. Kindness under control. Friendliness with boundaries, respect built on firmness. You see, weakness says, I will let people do as they please, and I will remain silent. But strength says, I will treat people with respect, but I will not let them cross my boundaries. Weakness avoids confrontation out of fear. Strength avoids it out of wisdom, but faces it when necessary. Weakness says yes to be accepted. Strength says no to stay true. Weakness gives everything away to be liked. Strength gives selectively to be respected, and that difference will shape the way people treat you for the rest of your life. Do not fall into the trap of believing that to be a good person, you must let everyone walk over you. That is not goodness. That is a lack of courage. Being a good person sometimes means standing up and saying, "This is not right." Sometimes it means refusing to compromise your values just to make someone else comfortable. Sometimes it means cutting ties with people who refuse to respect you. And sometimes it even means walking alone rather than walking with those who want to use you. When you understand this, your relationships change. People begin to listen to your words. They take your presence seriously. They recognize that your kindness is not weakness. It is a choice, a discipline, a strength under control. And because of that, your kindness begins to carry weight. Your words begin to matter. Your silence begins to matter. Your very presence begins to matter. Friendliness should never mean losing your backbone. It should never mean agreeing with lies just to avoid conflict. It should never mean exhausting yourself just to keep the peace. Real peace is not found in pleasing everyone. It is found in standing firm in who you are, while still treating others with dignity. That is the kind of peace that cannot be shaken. And here is the truth: people respect strength wrapped in kindness far more than endless friendliness with no boundaries. They may smile at the overly friendly, but they follow the strong. They may enjoy the company of the agreeable, but they lean on those who stand firm. If you want to be a leader in your family, your workplace, your community, or your circle of friends, you cannot afford to be seen as weak. You must embody the balance. Kind enough to care, strong enough to resist, wise enough to know the difference. When you carry yourself with too much friendliness, when you make it your mission to always please, always smile, always soften the edge, you may think you are creating harmony, but what you are truly doing is giving away authority. Authority is not built on constant sweetness. Authority is not earned by never saying no. Authority comes from conviction, from firmness, from a willingness to stand your ground even when it costs you popularity. And when you sacrifice all of that in the name of being too friendly, you slowly strip yourself of influence. Think of a leader who always bends to every request, who says yes to every demand, who avoids every confrontation just to be liked. At first, people may cheer that leader because they get what they want. But over time, that same leader loses the respect of those very people. They begin to see him as soft, as someone without backbone, as someone whose words carry no weight. They may still smile in his presence, but behind closed doors they whisper, "He cannot lead us." Friendliness without firmness does not inspire respect. It destroys it. This is not only true for leaders of nations or organizations. It is true for every one of us. Parents who are too friendly with their children, too afraid to say no, too eager to be liked, end up raising children who do not respect them. Teachers who are too friendly with students lose the ability to guide them. Employers who are too friendly with employees lose their authority. Even in friendships and relationships, if you become too friendly, too available, too soft, the people around you will begin to take your presence lightly. Authority vanishes when friendliness crosses the line into weakness. And yet authority is not about being harsh. It is not about cruelty. It is not about shouting to make yourself heard. True authority is quiet, steady, consistent. It comes from living in such a way that your presence carries weight. It comes from having principles you will not compromise, no matter how much pressure comes against you. It comes from letting people know that while you may be kind, you are not blind. While you may be friendly, you are not foolish. If you want to maintain authority in your life, you must learn to draw lines. People need to know where you stand. They need to know that you will not be moved by every wind that blows. They need to see that your words are not just empty promises, but convictions backed by action. And when they see that, your authority grows. But if you are too eager to please, too ready to bend, too afraid to disappoint, you are giving them permission to ignore your voice. Even in your personal relationships, this truth is alive. The friend who always says yes, who never confronts, who avoids every disagreement, eventually becomes the friend no one takes seriously. The partner who always bends just to keep peace eventually becomes the partner who is overlooked. Over-friendliness may keep people around you, but it will not keep their respect. And what is the value of companionship if it is built on a lack of respect? Authority is not about domination. It is about influence. It is about the ability to guide, to inspire, to shape the environment around you. But that influence can only survive when people believe in your strength. They must know that behind your kindness is a spine of steel. They must know that behind your friendliness is a soul that will not compromise what is right. Without that, you are only a shadow of leadership, a hollow voice that people nod at but never follow. And here is something you must remember: authority is fragile when built on popularity, but unshakable when built on respect. If you chase popularity by being too friendly, you will gain smiles today but lose authority tomorrow. But if you chase respect by standing firm, by balancing kindness with strength, you may lose a few smiles in the moment, but you will gain a voice that people cannot ignore. So stop thinking that being too friendly will make people follow you. Stop thinking that endless sweetness will make people listen. It will only make them dismiss you. If you want to lead, if you want to influence, if you want to have a voice that matters in your family, in your work, in your community, then learn the discipline of balance. Show kindness, but also show strength. Be approachable, but also be firm. Speak with warmth, but also with authority. The truth about real friendship is that it does not need to be fed by constant friendliness. It does not require you to always be smiling, always saying yes, always putting others before yourself. Real friends don't measure your worth by how much you give, or how much you bend, or how much you sacrifice. They don't need you to play the role of the endlessly cheerful one just to keep them close. If someone truly loves you, they will value you even when you are firm. They will respect you even when you set boundaries. They will stay by your side even when you are not overly friendly. So many people exhaust themselves trying to hold on to relationships by over-giving, over-smiling, over-accommodating. They think that if they don't constantly show friendliness, the other person will walk away. But that is not friendship, that is fear. And any relationship built on fear will eventually collapse. If you are afraid that the people around you will leave the moment you stop being overly friendly, you already know the truth deep inside. They were never there for you in the first place. The ones who belong in your life will never demand that you sacrifice your dignity to keep them. They will never ask you to lose yourself just to please them. They will never take advantage of your kindness because they value not just what you give, but who you are. A real friend doesn't only show up when you are smiling, they show up when you are hurting. A real friend doesn't just celebrate your giving, they give back to you. A real friend doesn't just stay for the light, they remain even through the darkness. And you must ask yourself, which kind of people do you want around you? The ones who only love you when you are endlessly friendly, or the ones who stand with you even when you are strong enough to say no? Because those who walk away when you stop being too friendly are not your loss. They are your lesson. And those who remain when you show your true self are your treasure. Friendliness can open doors, but it should never chain you. It should never be the price you pay to keep people close. Do not confuse being liked with being loved. Many will like your friendliness, but only a few will love your truth. And those few are the ones worth keeping. Because what is the use of surrounding yourself with people who stay only as long as you play a part? What is the value of being loved for a mask you wear instead of the soul you carry? When you stop being too friendly, you begin to see clearly who is real and who is not. Those who are only around for your constant sweetness will slowly fade away because you no longer feed their selfishness. But those who value you, the real ones, they will draw even closer. They will not be offended by your strength. They will not be shaken by your honesty. They will not leave because you refuse to be used. Instead, they will admire you even more. They will trust you even more. They will respect you even more. And this is why you must never fear losing people when you stop being too friendly. The only ones you will lose are the ones who were never truly yours to begin with. But the ones who remain will be those rare souls who love you for who you are, not what you give. They will celebrate your kindness without abusing it. They will honor your time, your energy, your spirit. They will not need constant friendliness to stay. They will stay because they belong. So let go of the fear that keeps you chained to false friends. Let go of the belief that you must constantly perform to be accepted. Let go of the illusion that friendliness is the glue that holds relationships together. Because the truth is, real love, real respect, real friendship does not depend on over-friendliness. It depends on authenticity. It depends on honesty. It depends on strength. And when you discover that, you will finally understand the freedom of being yourself. You will no longer chase after approval. You will no longer exhaust yourself trying to keep people from leaving. You will no longer carry the heavy burden of pretending. Instead, you will walk with dignity, with peace, with strength. And those who truly belong will walk with you, because the people who are meant for your life will not need you to be too friendly to stay. They will stay because they love the real you.